Right. Oh. All right, there we go. Good afternoon, y'all. I'm here again with another weekly stream of Shamu Architect, also known as Freedom Planet Academy if you're just here for the campaign. And we'll be doing some variety of things today, which means I have the desktop view on. So, on our to-do list today, we're going to add some new things to the stage 4 boss, as well as work on a new section of the stage. I've kind of made the executive decision to put the current map that we have from previous streams onto map 2 of 4 instead of being the beginning map, because I think it would be a lot more fun if the beginning of the stage was all grassy, green hill stuff that everybody loves so much, just being the green hill zone of the game, more or less. And taking advantage of all the grassy tiles I have, the slopes and whatnot. I think we could have a lot of fun with those things. And then the current map that we have can go to map 2, where it shows more of the rocky tile sets in the beginning of entering more temple-like areas. So yeah, and I'll make some revisions to map 2 as well on stream if I have time, because I do have some ideas. But for now, there are some things for the Guardian that I've been forgetting to do that I most absolutely want to do before I forget. And what I'm about to do to it is when you first see it, it will make the background for the stage fade to black, and then its sprite will also be black or some off black color. And you see it rising to its intended height for the stage, and then it would flash I keep forgetting how to describe it, a lens flare effect on one of its eyes, and then its sprites would come into view and roar at you. So that might take probably until 4 p.m. or so to set up in itself, if I'm being efficient. So we'll see. And so yeah, what part of that should I start on now? I haven't gotten to see too much code in a while, so this should be interesting, I would hope. Let's see, and that's right. And how do I keep the chat window in view? Go to desk pins. Here we go. Very ancient little app that will do the job. Hello, Argo. I see some particular boneless cats today. I think first things first, let's go ahead and have the startup transition. Startup alpha, set that to 1. Then background alpha. Oh, that's right, that is a global constant, or a constant, so hopefully I'll remember that variable name later. In programming, you will see a lot of inelegantly named variables and wonder, whose bright idea was that? Indecision, in the moment decision making for you. Just, I will call that cheese block object, object dot duck or something. Just because it ducks or something, I don't know, just something esoteric. You see that a lot. The more successful collaborative programming projects tend to have more sensible naming, for such things. Oh, Sparkle. Hello there. Oh. So, yes, let's go to test room. Like, we'll probably try it out in this test room before I go to the arena to give it a proper shot. This also means we'll need like a startup timer so that the boss logic itself will not execute until like the startup phase is over. That way we can just cleanly do whatever we want without any of those other things being an issue. So, oh, I already have a variable called startup timer. That would be an enormous issue. So, more code debt for me later, probably. Now, that's a lot of alliteration, Alice Dance. Academically acceptable Avalis accolades for the amazing Armored Anti-Gravity Armadillos Association. Imagine saying that in a meeting. Now, so we'll just have like all of the boss logic. Kind of relegated to this timer, so. Oh, I think I know what you mean. That would be a pretty funny company logo name for a, like the next project, like A, Sextuple A Company or something. Alliteration Anonymous. No, that's a funny idea. I'm trying to figure out how to say I have a problem, but with pure alliteration. Like Gruntilda trying not to rhyme. Alright, so yes, the rising timer. Startup phase. Boss logic. Yes, probably still want to check for that as well. So yeah. Then after I get the startup phase going, we could then like modify how the startup timer for the boss's own logic works. So, in fact, it might be smarter to treat it more as like a phase rather than a timer. Yes, now that I think about it. Let's do that. Vexed with villainous vocabulary. I think that one sounds very much like a classical cartoon villain. Oh Lord. Now that's funny. Okay, I'm glad I looked over there. Now, rising phase. Okay, so we'll need this to be 1. Then, be a good idea to put this in a little tiny window for now. Like, we're only paying attention to these little itty bitty things here, so we can put some bigger things in the draw. vent. So, yeah, what sprite am I looking for this effect? Water. I think the, no, not that one. And water in Freedom Planet, oddly, is just pure black. Why did that cover the entire screen? That was funny. So we'll use the water sprite for this effect. Yes, and that's the substitute effect for whenever the palette shader is turned off. Leave that alone. So if rising phase is 1, then we start playing with these other values. Ground alpha. That way the darkness can increase. And you know what? Yeah, that's right. I should have all of this happen, execute first, so it's all directly behind the boss. Order of execution is a big deal for drawing anything. Wait, yes, and as much logic as you can help it should not be in the draw event, because that's more expensive. So background alpha, background will increase steadily. So x0. Note was he with an alliterated accent, spaked aloud evil rhythm and wit. Evil rhythm. I wonder what that would even sound like. Just gonna casually open up the player object real quick to the camera system. Sounds like Shakespeare. I wonder what that would sound like, because I've never been to a high school play. And that's where you see a lot of Shakespearean plays in early life. Right, so yeah, here we go. So we'll need it to be at like the very edge of the camera. Oh wait, I'd probably want stretched, if it would also allow us to modify the alpha. No, not really. This will. Okay, so now because the camera can like zoom in and out, we also need to account for that with the background that we're stretching here. That way it stretches to the full length of the camera no matter what it is. That should be sufficient. Then back alpha. Oh, lambic pentameter. I don't even know what that is. But oh, it doesn't help that I can't sing. Okay, so oh, and hello too. That's one way to say hello. I feel like somebody obsessed with the letter V would say that. Hmm. Stance as a wizard. Yes, he. Hmm. Oh, well, I appreciate you taking your time to come today. Then, now let's have a look at this. We have the sprite being stretched to this degree. Then during the rising phase, we're also going to have the dragon sprite being affected in this way. So yeah, how do I do that? Ooh. Let me think. What can I do about this in particular? Yeah, because I didn't think this far ahead. Just okay. How do you make the entire thing black? Guess what I could do. It's like what I did for the clone heads that appear for the attack. Just have it, the whole thing being blacked, but the head itself is like being drawn separately. Where did I put the head? In the draw code here. That's right, I can close this now. Have more reading space. One of these days I should get a vertical oriented monitor. It'd make reading code so much easier than portrait mode shenanigans. It would be fun to develop certain games to also like display in portrait mode, like Sonic Rush style. That would be so much fun. Like, yeah, fix all of your visibility problems ever without even needing to zoom out. Just you can just see ahead of you, just above you. I mean, rather. So. Oh, forward down stance. And yes, Creeper. We're currently working on the Guardian boss. Like I forgot. Oh yeah, I wanted to have like have a very foreboding entrance into the stage. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So while this is active, we'll set fog to black. Maybe some other color. Yeah, let's make a color to put in here. I forgot the function name for that. Draw. Color. Get. Oh, the pain of not knowing how to find what you want. Yeah, we'll just go to the reference manual then. Programmers do this a lot more than you would have any idea. A lot of development time can just be spent looking through this thing like, oh, how can I get the effect I want? And do it optimally in some cases. Like I do sometimes agonize over how to, here we go. Make a color. So, yes, with the usual things I'm familiar with. Okay, so like, probably start with all zeros, then like, give it some blue so that, you know, you can tell it's sprite from the rest of the body. That would probably be best. Well, that's good being able to say that, Alice Dance. Oh. Wait, can you make colors? Can it be stored in a variable? Yes, okay. We're good. Had to be sure that could be done. It's terrible to make an elaborate setup and realize you didn't do it right. So, rising color 0, 0, 32. That's what we'll start off with. Oh, yeah, help to bracket things properly now, wouldn't it? So we have this, that, and wait, yeah, that would be a good idea now, wouldn't it? Oh, no, I have it, so that's all right. So we would have the head here, but, oh yes, now I can have rising fall color. That way, like, its entire body is just like an off color. Yeah, that would do. We don't need a extra copy of the head then. Oh, better idea. Much better idea. We could have like a darkened version of its head that we could use. So let's go to the boss sprites. Do just a tiny bit of editing. Oh, that's the bouncer. Head. Make another copy of the base head. And, oh, okay, well, that was the issue. Okay, so, may do this in GIMP, so, just, nope. Gonna need to close GIMP and restart it. There were some things open from the next project I can't show y'all yet. Yes, I'm literally halfway done with this video game. We're already plotting the next one. That's what we do. Okay, so let's go here, replace. Because transparency is just kind of a broken concept in this version of GameMaker, I have to do this. Let's make a darker version of this head. Just, I like to do it by just manually picking the colors so that it looks more effective. Because sometimes when you just try to do it with a slider, oftentimes the results look pretty gross. Oh no, not 2 games ahead of time. That would be impossible. Just the one baby. So, right. Like, yeah, I mean, we do have other ideas, but we can't even put them in the oven yet. Like, I'm pretty sure I have game ideas for, like, the rest of my life already. We'll see which ones get done and which other ones end up taking priority, or others being left on the cutting room floor while another new idea is being worked on instead. It's just creativity. It's how it works. Yes. And grab this. That darker. And fill. Wait, let's Yeah, this head has a lot of colors to it, so we'll be here for just a little second. I feel like it would look a lot more menacing, though, if you could just see like a darkened version of its head just appearing in front of you, and then it roars like with full color. I think that would look pretty intimidating. A little more RB tube here. Yeah, how about we make it more, like, somewhat more monochrome, not like all the way. Because that is one thing that happens in darkness, like there can be some loss of color. But not always. It's a complicated topic. But, like, we'll just replace certain colors with darker ones. Ooh, we might want to leave the eyes alone, though. I do want to do that. And yeah, the anti-aliasing colors can go too, for the most part. Just use a bigger brush to fill these in. And then just do that. Yes, filling in more colors like this will be appropriate, I think. Just that one on the green side. Ooh. Could be more RGB purity in this anyway, now that I think about it. Consequences of working fast. Darken that a lot. Yeah, I could probably make these just like one color for the most part. Ooh, okay, that's too much. Okay, what I could do is, yeah, just get these selected, fill them in with a dark color on the greenish side. Oh, it's too big. Okay, so okay, yeah, use this off black color. No, forgot my brush is huge. No, okay, forgot. I'm used to save spamming everything, so. Yes, the nostrils are also a thing. Yeah, we can make them like completely dark. Oh, and we could have some like foreboding highlights, like just intimidating colors. Yeah, like an underglow. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. This is another thing you can only do when you're just selectively coloring things in, is just like give certain things a unique glow to it. And this does highlight how symmetrical this thing is. So we get like then relative to the rest of the background. That's still not light enough. There we have it. Ooh. So hopefully this will have the intended effect. Just got to use it conservatively. It's okay to occasionally use 2 lines for anti-aliasing, as I've learned. Okay, then, ooh, we could probably make the teeth highlighted too. Wouldn't that be creepy? Wouldn't that be creepy? I do want to darken the forehead some more. So more color homogeny. Because like one arbitrary thing you do with art is like you not only light things based on like real life rules on how lighting works, you also do sometimes like change the lighting to suggest what should draw the viewer's attention the most. Like say there's like a ring on a subject you want the viewer to notice the most, like you would give that more light and ambient colors, things like, ooh, just look at the shiny ring over here. You want them to pay attention to that and not that naked guy in the tree in the distance grabbing an apple and probably just one twig away from falling. Just the little things that you want people to pay attention to. Oh, the haunted plague. Forgot to brush. Probably don't want to know what his teeth look like with a proper flashlight. Oh, I still remember the Super Mario Sunshine boss where you help an eel who's never brushed his teeth. The whole reason he was so upset his teeth hurt. It was such an adorable problem. With Flood at the end saying, like, take care of your teeth, kids. Take good care of your teeth. My tangents probably make some people think of, like, Family Guy, which is how out of range some of them can be. Let's see. Yes, make that dark too. Yeah, maybe we can just get rid of that. And yeah, we can just obfuscate these details as well. In fact, this is an opportunity to highlight some of them. Just like with the Pangu boss, I kind of gave this boss like some bluish aesthetical choices. Like with the bright cyan heads floating around and whatnot. I may or may not have got inspired by a couple of Metroid bosses that do something similar. Like Super Metroid and that one spider boss in Fusion does that in particular. I'm sure anyone who's played Fusion knows about the spider boss whose head just swishes, swashbuckles through the air and drops organic things on you. Just that's a unique natural adaptation for an animal, I will say. So yes, cute couple of things here. Remove yet more detail. And we don't want the viewer to pay too much attention to the nostril area. I want to draw them very expressly towards the eyes. No, we don't want like purple. That doesn't work there. Then, oh, yes. Another reality of game development is it's kind of like a game of Borderlands in the way where you're given like this one mission. You think, okay, I'm gonna go do that. Then halfway through, plot twist, something happened, and now you need to go do this as well before you can go finish this objective. You just kind of get the runaround in some funny ways before you finally complete your objective, or the original objective disappears entirely because the situation changes. So now you're doing something else. And it does keep things from getting boring. But in this little world of game making, it's like, oh yeah, in order to get this effect, I need to do this to sell what I want this effect to look like here. Gotta do this. Oh no, want to implement coyote time with jumping. Oh, that's gotta change up all these little subsystems and make the jumping action more robust to accommodate it, and things like that. And I did try to implement coyote time in Freedom Planet Academy. I did try, but the act of jumping in this fan game unfortunately involves like 30 lines of code, and and it does not like being played with very much. But then I realized it was just kind of a futile thing to do, at least in Freedom Planet's case, because with Freedom Planet, it's kind of like Smash Bros. You don't need coyote time because the characters have so many ways to recover from a fall. Like it's basically an irrelevant mechanic in Freedom Planet's case. It's unique. It's not like Sonic where, you just wish you had 8 frames of coyote time to jump after letting go of a ledge you probably didn't mean to. You probably wish you did. Unless you're Tails, and it's like, well, you could probably still make it if you're not falling too fast, because he can fly. And so can Knuckles. I don't know, it just seems like most of Sonic friends can do all the cool things to avoid falling to their doom. But, Sonic himself would probably feel so much better if he had coyote time, I think. And then you look at Lilac, Carol, and Mila. Lilac can cyclone the exact frame she's no longer in the air. That can help you recover, as well as Dragon Boost. And Mila can always flutter like Yoshi, and Carol can always just hop up walls like far faster than Knuckles ever could. So it's like, yeah, no, I don't need it in this case. And then I gave Spade like a lot more aerial opportunities just by giving him a stamina meter. So he's also good. And Chiasa and Carrie are just clones of Carol with some minor additions, so they don't need anything either. So yeah, that's what happened to Coyote time in Shame the Architect. Just we didn't need it. Carol with a double jump would be pretty cursed, but wait, that's right. I gave Carrie a double jump. Oh. And everybody thought it was cute because it's using the old jump sound. In Freedom Planet, it's like older demos, so I think most people like it. Oh yeah, this would basically be invisible there as well. Oh yeah, that's right, Chiasa's a clone of Carrie, so yes, by proxy she has it too. The only difference between Carrie and Chiasa is that Chiasa like has a scooter, so she can like she's Chiasa is basically like like classic Carol, like preserved in Shane Architect. And if you want like newer Carol, you just play as Carol in Freedom Planet Academy or Architect, because like I gave Carol a lot of FB2 moves thanks to Hyperware Fox's sprites and Sabrina directly giving me the sound effects for those extra moves, which was a pretty nice gesture. So Carol in this fan game should play just as nice as her FB2 counterpart. Sans, the jump disc, like there's just no time to implement that, sadly. So we're just having to roll with the Wild Claws being OP. Just having to deal with it. Of course, some people who like the Wild Claws would rejoice a little bit, but still. Like, it's kind of a challenge. I had to make this boss do a lot more in terms of acrobatics just to work around the fact that, Carol and Lilac are extremely aggressive characters. They can, like, if a boss is not moving actively enough, they can just, camp on the boss's hurt box all day and kill them before they even have a chance to react. Like, they are just very powerful characters. It's why they're so fun to play as, but it's also why it's a challenge to make bosses that are still engaging for them without punishing people who are playing as other characters for not choosing Lilac or Carol. Like, you never want to make anyone who's playing as other characters to feel like they're the character they identify with most is just the most punishing to play as. Like, it's not fair and it's not fun. But that was my solution to making this boss work, at least, was just like giving it specific behaviors that do not check specifically for Lilac or Carol, but if it detects some behavior that is most often exhibited by them, it will do those certain behaviors, but you will also see them as Mila or Spade if you're behaving in a particularly gremlin way. So it's not like the boss is very specifically out to punish Lilac for being so good. If you do that, people are not going to have fun either. It's balancing things is hard, y'all. You can come up with the most watertight rationale you can and still not have something that's fun at the other end. It's hard. First you go for fun and spectacles, and you try to figure out how to balance it. That's how I do it anyway. Some people will be like, gee, where do you start? And I'm just like, well, fun and spectacle. Like, that's what a boss should be. It's like it should feel like an event is happening, basically. It should be the event when it's around. And it should feel special, That's why I put so much effort into the bosses in this sand game, because, you don't want basically a giant enemy with like 200 HP and they die at the end. Like, it's fairly common hang up a lot of people have with like Sonic bosses, like, oh, they're just too easy, it feels like a chore, or too much waiting around for a Sonic game. That is also a thing. Let's do this procedurally to darken the wings. So, surprisingly, I did enjoy Superstars when I played it with Dusky. It was just like, I see what they were going for, and they had some really imaginative bosses, honestly. Like, I thought there were, like, nuggets of good ideas all over the thing. It's just, pacing could have been a little better. just a little bit. Like, I feel like if they could have like tightened up the pacing of the bosses, like nobody would really hate them that much, other than just like, oh my god, they're so hard. But at least you wouldn't feel like they're wasting your time every time you die. Like, I think that's important because people just don't feel like their time is respected when a boss just has so much waiting time, and then you die at like the final hit point of the boss, and it's like, oh my god, no. Just, I have to do this all over again. Yeah, I feel like that too, Lua too. Like, they were good bosses, especially the final one. I think had like fantastic spectacle. Like, they were going for something very artful and imaginative, and I do admire that. Just like bosses just shouldn't take so much time to defeat. Like, it's exhausting for players who like hammer their controllers really hard, and some of us do that. We have to acknowledge that, and it's not great for people's hands when a boss like takes too long to defeat, and of course it's frustrating. Like, more people like just don't finish a game if when that happens. I think like if a boss is like too frustrating or only has like a limited range of solutions for beating it, which means fewer people are going to figure out how to defeat it. And that's one thing that does make Freedom Planet bosses a little tough to work on. Is like, well, every character has like a wide range of ways to deal with the boss. So it's like, how do you have a coherent direction of like a coherent philosophy for balancing all the potential solutions for this boss that you're designing in the moment? Like, they're just a few steps removed from being Smash Brothers characters, more or less, in terms of like mechanical complexity, and they just have so many solutions for problems that simply don't exist in a lot of other platformers, which is one of the things that drew me to Freedom Planet. It's like, wow, there's a lot of fascinating complexity here you don't see anywhere else. And it's not necessary to know any of that to be successful at playing the game, but it does add to the depth and replay, I think. Like, there's so many ways to approach the same boss. Like, it can be pretty fun. But when you're like, in the trenches, like trying to make that work yourself, it's like, oh no. Oh no. I have to do the thing. I have to make this boss work with a character that could defeat them in 8 different ways if a player was knowledgeable enough. At the same time, though, I always have to remind myself that not everyone who approaches bosses in Freedom Planet know how to like trivialize them at a high level. So it's important not to ever design a boss to like only be approachable to a high level player. Most people are not high level. They just they saw a cute indie game they wanted to try and play. It's like, oh, a cute indie game, I play it, and then they play it. It's just they're not like so invested in it that they just like train themselves in all the characters' moves for an hour before they move on with other parts of the game. It's not fair to anyone if even like final bosses expect you to know all that. Like, it's one of the reasons Brevin's final phase and Freedom Planet 1 was like straight up turned off for Mila, because like, yeah, it is possible to defeat Brevin's knife phase as Mila, but most people would not get past it. That's the problem. Just, I think it was a really smart move in retrospect to do that, because yeah, I mean, I could do it, a lot of y'all could do it, but could the average Freedom Planet fan like take that on? And no, just it's probably disappointing that just that you can't, but on paper, but in practice, in reality, it's like, yes, it's better for uh, the overall experience that this is just not allowed. Oh, I hadn't been reading y'all's replies. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, let's see. Oh, absolutely. A long boss here and there doesn't hurt that bad, but if all of them take forever, yeah, that's certainly an issue. Like, I 100% agree. It's like a long boss here and there doesn't hurt, but all of them just, no. Please, no. Then, oh, yeah. Yeah, game balancing is hard. Like I played the private FP2 beta as Nira and just immediately ran into a lot of problems that were thankfully eventually solved. Like the developers found some pretty clever ways to balance Nira in a way that would allow her to feel buffed, feel as competent as the other girls without having to overdo it. Because you can make playable characters too powerful, and then it's like, oh no, how do we have any sense of challenge with this game anymore? Oh no. Like, I think they found good compromise to make Nero work in the final game. Wait, no? Let's see. And yes, Cecil, bum rushing bosses is like usually what the casual player does, even. They just want to experience the content first and then replays, maybe start to absorb more of the finer details. But when you're first experiencing a game, you're so invested in the story, you're just like, oh, but I want to get to the next part. I want to see what happens. I don't want to keep dying to this one boss right now. I can overanalyze this later. Just, I think that's what most people do. And yeah, you can't really do that in Freedom Planet. Like, even with Freedom Planet 1, it was a, I think in my first run, yeah, I died a lot as well. I think Brevin probably killed me over 100 times, probably. But the fact that, the game didn't have, lives in any meaningful way meant I could just keep trying at it. It wasn't like classic games where, you lose all your progress if you just die too many times. And Freedom Planet 1, it's like, your patience is the real game over screen, more or less. And I much prefer games that way. Yeah, if you want to be hard, don't waste my time. Please and thank you. Just. And don't give me massive valks of shame back to the boss, please. I do appreciate, some parts of the later Dark Souls games, not having a 5-minute walk of shame back to the boss arena if you'd happen to die. That was pretty rough in Dark Souls 1 at times. Just having to survive all these crazy noob traps and being halfway out of Estus before you can take on the boss, and you're already at a disadvantage, and when the inevitable happens, you're upset, just that's not fun. If you want to be mean, give me the chance to the opportunity to look to pretty much the amount of time that I need to figure out how to tackle this boss. Because, observing a boss's patterns sometimes, it takes a while, even in my experience. Just learning all their patterns, under what context they activate. I overanalyze the brain. Just loves to pick that apart, even with new bosses. But boss logic can be pretty esoteric when you're first playing a new game. Hmm. Let's see. And yes, I do also appreciate Freedom Planet not having contact damage. It was one of the things that drew me to it originally, even. But even that can be a pretty contentious thing in like the Sonic community. There are some people, just some, of course, not a lot, just some, who are turned off by the fact that you could run past enemies. So my next game I plan on having like a compromise between the two. It's like, okay, the enemies aren't solid. You could run past them, but if their attack begins, then they hit your hurt box. And if they're reactive enough, like you functionally can't just walk past them because they'll attack you. So and that's going to be a lot of give and take and a lot of time agonizing over and balancing until that feels mechanically right, I think. Where it's like, okay, you don't have contact damage. If you're clever enough, you could sneak past this enemy. Making a case for that being part of the skill ceiling, that will take a lot of experimentation to make that work. Or it's like, for Freedom Planet, you can just casually walk past a lot of enemies. You don't want to fight them. Or just, take some damage in exchange for trying to run past them too quickly sometimes. But I think there is probably an argument for making that part of a game's skill ceiling. Like, oh, you want to speedrun this stage and run past everything? Just... Yeah, well, that's going to take a little cleverness and some learning first. But for the casual player, you just maybe don't want it to be too trivial. Oh, Argo, now that would be truly mean. Oh my lord. Now you're thinking with evil. That's what I say. Oh my lord. Mega Man enemy scrolling. Yep, that sounds about right. My god, I can't imagine like all the enemies you run past just appearing in the boss arena like, hey, not so fast, bucko. I get told that a lot, Caesar, but some people really like my laugh in person. Like, even if the joke I didn't tell is particularly funny, they'll just be like, "What? I really like your laugh." Just it's pretty nice. Oh. I would demonstrate, but that's not very authentic. I'll just save it for when I do have a reason to laugh midstream. That's what I do. I just don't have the aptitude to perform. Oddly enough, just like I have a lot of respect for acting. It's just there's a part of my brain that doesn't want me to do that for some reason. It's just like, no, ew, acting, cringe. Like, even though I fully respect acting, the thought of me doing it is just like, huge no. Just. So when people have asked me like, oh hey, it'd be really cute if you had a VTuber avatar, I'd just be like, no, I can't do that. I would just fall out of my chair of embarrassment. Just can't do it. Just can't. Like, I have nothing against VTubers personally. Like, some of them do look kind of funny in motion to me, but I have nothing against this burgeoning new medium we're finding ourselves in the middle of. Whoops. It's just, I can't act. I can't make myself do it. um, and it's a shame, with as much as I've trained my voice over the years, like, I don't know, maybe I would be somewhat advantaged to do it, but yeah, just, I don't know how to get past that hang up. Oh my god, Ark, that would be so. Yeah, what? That is a great idea for an action game. I totally need to write that down where, like, during the enemy roll call in the credits, like, you're fighting them. Like, just to keep the credits from being boring, like, you're just in an arena and you have to deal with just, like, they're all taking pot shots at you as they're scrolling up, and you have to dodge them or something. That just. And it wouldn't really be of much consequence, just enough to throw you off. Oh my god. Die in the credits. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is so evil, Sea Slurp, just dying in the credits and they're still rolling while the player character's body is just laying there like, I am so done right now. Just. That is such an interesting thought. That's Argo. That reminds me of, like, Crash Bandicoot. Every time you die in that game, he just looks. He goes up like an angel. I guess he could look really annoyed. The Family Guy death pose. Oh my lord. Really? We died now? Roll, like, died during the celebration party, shaking my head. Just. I could totally see that happening. That would probably be a weird thing to have in an RPG, but that's, like, very heavily choice based, and then there's, like, also a choice based exchange that could kill you during the credits like that. Just yeah, you survived the scenario, but your character still didn't make it to the end credits. You still didn't make it. Although, yeah, that would need no FP2 if that could happen to you there. Guess we'll never find out about the water dragons and all the other spoilerly things that I shouldn't talk about yet. Because, like, yes, Freedom Planet 2, that's going to be releasing April 4th. That's not too far from now. Just in case some of you people on stream just casually watching but not participating in the chat, just those watching, like, if you didn't know Freedom Planet 2 was out yet, and there are people who do, yes, it's been on PC for 2 years already, and it's finally about to be on consoles in just a few days. Almost there. It was a long wait, but the more I've read into it, the more it's like, oh yeah, there's probably a few reasons why that was the case, but but I think people have been surprisingly patient with that, at least, because they know, like, I guess the reason is, like, okay, the game has been out, like, it's a thing. I could play it right now on PC if my computer was good enough. Like, that already makes you feel better than if the game had another 2-year delay and there was still no game to play. Just knowing the carrot is on the stick, just, I think, made people more patient. Oh yeah, the update will make the game worth replaying for sure. There's going to be a lot of extra new stuff, and if you haven't been keeping up with the updates, well, you're already going to have a lot of new things to see, I think. Yeah, I just remembered like something like really funny. I just seem to remember like somebody telling me about these random people on the internet who like saw my initial Shame the Architect trailer, like the first one, and their comment was like, "Oh, unlike Galaxy Trail, this person looks like they actually know what they're doing. You know, they're making progress and stuff." And it's like, "Oh, you sad, sad, inobservant creature! Oh my God, you don't know." Like, yes, FP2 took like several years to make, but there were just 30 people working on it, and they got it done. I'm just one person and a couple of artists who come in now. Like, making a game halfway of that scope has been enormous. Now look at me now. FP2 exists and my fan game still isn't done because I've had to juggle a full-time job and this and all this code with occasional help from my friends, which does save a lot of time. It's just like, yeah, to that person, yes, I think that yeah, that is rude as well. Yes, just yeah, like people were just so desperate to spit fire on the game pre-release. Just like, I get it, you've been waiting since you were literally in middle school for a sequel. Like, I get it, like, but I've been a gamer since I could read, like at age 6. I'm going to be 35 this year. I've been playing video games for almost 30 years now. The waiting, the cycles of hype and bandwagons and like pre-release interviews and music reveals and all that stuff. That's just all noise to me. I'm used to this stuff. I just want the game in my hand when I hear about it. I don't care about any other stuff. I'm just waiting for it to come out. But because like I'm a Nintendo fan, like I'm used to waiting like probably 5 years for a large scale video game to release. And Freedom Planet 2 is like, it feels like a rare event in the indie side of the scene because like there's just games of that scope made by a few veteran coders and artists that is not a frequent event. Like, that does not happen. Nobody makes a video game with like 24 stages and like nearly 50 bosses and yeah, just like it's a lot of money and time. So this is like one of those rare things. Enjoy it. I still don't know how they managed it. Like, I was literally on the inside looking in, and I still look at things like, dear God, how? Well, a lot of passion and time, though, probably. Oh yeah, you should be glad you got into FP2 after it came out, because like the fans who were like, there were some extremely, extremely childish people who could not wait for it to release. Like, I get it. The game did take a long time to release. If it were me at the helm of FP2, I probably would have cut out 8 of the levels just to get it out before everyone stopped checking in on the project's progress. And so we could, just move on to the next big thing we want to make, etc., etc. But that's not how Sabrina operates. Like, there's just no compromising. Like, if she announces that a game is going to have this much content, it's going to have that much content at the other end of the line, probably. And I guess, after, like, there's very few things left on Freedom Planet 1's cutting room floor, even. Like, yeah, they still released, animated cutscenes, even if it had to be done with sprites, for instance. But it was still a promised thing. They still found a way to do it. even though like they didn't have the budget to like make every cutscene animated. Like just it's just how Sabrina operates. It's definitely not like an industry standard kind of philosophy. Industry standard is basically like God of War 2 when they were working on that game. They wanted to have a section at the beginning of the stage where you could be giant God Kratos, like with your full move set and everything. You're just smashing through the town trying to fight the giant, and then it shrinks you, and you go back down to human size and play the level normally. But they didn't have enough time to polish it as much as they wanted. It was fully working. It had some bugs and stuff that needed to be worked out, and they ran out of time. The game had to go gold at some point for manufacturing, so a 90% working thing just had to be gutted from the final game. Just yeah, like that's pretty standard. And then you've got some more positive examples where the entire multiplayer mode for GoldenEye was snuck in like 2 weeks before release somehow, and it became like the leading selling point for the game. Just game development is very funny like that, as you'll see, like looking through the history of it and all. Mm. Mm. Yeah, I knew enough people like working on the project that I knew it wasn't in development hell. At least, like it was a hellish grind to get it up to the level of content that was promised. Like that's all. Development hell is like when like a game is just sputtering in its prototype phase because they just can't figure out the identity for the gameplay or anything. Like Sonic Extreme went through that too. Like they tried having it be like a top-down perspective game. They tried full 3D. They tried sideways. They tried playing with the engine and tools that Knights used, and just the game was just constantly stuck, in Groundhog Day loops. Like that's development hell, where it's just like, yeah, there's not even any game content being made because they don't know what kind of game they're making yet. And it's kind of hard to say certain other games are in development hell because in Metroid Prime 4's case, it was like, okay, the project as it currently is not up to our standard, unfortunately. Like all the machinations of game development are working normally. Like they're making a video game, all in all, but it's not. Once they tried to play the thing and see how it really felt for the first time, it's like, oh well, this isn't what we want. It's not up to our standards, so they restarted development. So even that's not really in development hell. They're just having to start over from scratch, and that really hurts. Like that's why we didn't see the new Doom game in 2016 for so long, because it was going to be a very different game originally, and then they were like, no, we're just going to restart development and take a completely different direction, and it worked out for the better. We can hope the same works out for Metroid Prime 4. Just that the second time is probably going to be the better game. The game that they want to release, I think that deserves a little patience. It just would be nice, if we got a little promotional trailer here and there. Like, yeah, here's like actual screenshots of the game. Like, we're just not seeing anything, so it makes people worried. I feel like they're just waiting until they have a substantial, like, guaranteed game to show. That's not entirely unusual. So yeah, I should get rid of all the reds. All this one. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, even before FP2's release, Sabrina was already like gestating ideas for smaller projects. Like, I don't imagine like she'll ever attempt anything of FP2 scale again. Like, yeah, she committed to finishing it despite the fact that it was extremely difficult. But would she do it again? I don't think so. Like, like I think the scope of that game should only be reattempted if 50 salaried people could be hired on to work on it full time. Just completely putting their nose to the grindstone, making money and getting that done. I just don't see any other path forward, and that would involve a lot of money. Like Sabrina did say, in like a post-release interview with Itch, that one of the reasons development slows, like they could only pay people to work on new assets as Freedom Planet 1 sales were trickling in. So, so by buying FP1, you were also supporting FP2's development in the behind the scenes. So the long tail of that game's shelf life was probably part of the reason FP2 got to be finished up to its full scope. Like, that game could have very easily ended up just being a salvage job. It really could have. But thankfully, that's not how the economics played out, despite the fact that it was a very expensive, long development cycle. I think anyone could see that from the outside looking in. Oh, and I'm sorry to hear that for Crash Twinsanity's development. Like, yeah, that's the story of a lot of Sonic games as well. Like, Sonic 2, they wanted to have like as many stages as Sonic 3 eventually ended up having, but due to time constraints and like and EPROMs of like the 2 megabyte size still being very expensive, they just had to go with like a smaller cartridge size and lower capacity chips to contain the games, which meant they couldn't put more contents onto it, and there wasn't time to make more stages anyway. Like, there's only so much game you can make in like half a year. Like, even if you're going at all cylinders and have a full-time salaried team, just so I'm sad for their case that they just had to rip out a lot of content. It does hurt having to cut things out of a game, but even Sabrina herself once said, don't get too attached to your ideas, because you might have to remove something if the idea straight up doesn't work, or there's no time to also have that included in the game. So my philosophy now is like, well, if we can't put it in the game now, maybe we could have it in a post-release update or DLC, or just maybe save that idea for a sequel. That's what a lot of Nintendo games have done, I've noticed, because even with Star Fox 2 being complete but not released, they were like, yeah, let's just take all these great ideas and bring them forward through the rest of the series, and that's what they did. So with Star Fox 64, we immediately got like the all range mode and a whole slew of other good things from Star Fox 2. I feel like that is probably the best thing you can do, is when you can't put it in your current game, just you can save that idea for a sequel and hopefully rework it in a way that works for the setting involved. So, because I think Dark Souls 2 probably tried the we'll just make cut content a DLC thing, and a lot of people pretty universally agreed maybe that stuff should have stayed cut. Just like those DLC campaigns were brutal. I couldn't do them solo. I had to have friends with me. I couldn't do it. Like, whenever I replayed Dark Souls 2 in the past, I would like never touch the DLC. Just like, that was a no-go zone for me. Mm. Let's see. Mm. Oh, well, I hope you get some food there too. And yes, and I wonder how true it is that Sonic 3 had to be out in time for a Happy Meal promotion. I wonder how true that is. Like, I hear it so many times, but I've never looked it up myself. But that would be just so funny and in character for Sega if they had that kind of deadline. They were infamous for strict, impossible deadlines back in the day. Like, it's half the reason we didn't get Sonic Extreme. It's like, okay, you can, uh, we'll let you salvage this project and release the game, but it has to be out by Christmas, or else. That's it. And well, and Chris Coffin just couldn't do it. It's depressing. Like, yeah, Sonic Extreme looks like it really would have been like the weird game if it had made it to market, but I still would have liked to have seen it released. It's sometimes it's a bigger shame that a game didn't get to exist than for it to exist and be reviewed funny. Just that's how I feel at least. Sometimes it's nice just to play what could have been, even if it's a finished game. It's just like, and I think that's part of the appeal with Sonic 06 as well, because a lot of people are just like, wow, there is a real video game in here somewhere. I still want to experience this. So they do it. They deal with the jank that most people do not have the stomach for. And I can respect that. Hmm. Yeah, this could be a much darker color. As I think about it, darker, heavily saturated color. That should look a lot better. Looks a little rusty. Maybe I got it too orange. Yeah. I didn't know there was a story behind Sonic Frontiers as well. I'm sure that's development story is very interesting, given how the final game turned out. I think Brevin eyebrows. Oh my god, yes, maybe that's why it looked off. It's just it went from looking like metal eyelashes to, oh no, it's Brevin's eyebrows. Wonder if I can hue shift my way out of this problem. I very often can't, but I try anyway. Yeah, no, no slider is going to help me with this problem. Let's try a mix. Here we go. Go between certain colors. Make it a bit more yellow. That'll do. Brevov. Oh my lord, that's funny. It's a very funny thought. Wax on, wax off, but it's with Brevin's eyebrows. Just. Oh, and yes, we could also highlight certain parts of the face. Just try to be very conservative about it. Ooh, and I've always loved underglow around horns. That just Like, I may be guilty of doing that with every drawing I've done with Libby, every finished one, where I do this exact thing. Just some finishing touches, and we're done with it now. Also, yeah, okay. Getting close to 5 now. I cannot believe I spent all this time on just drawing something, but here we are. Pixel art is like that. It can be a very slow, tedious process, even when you're just editing something for a particular purpose. But yeah, let's just call it here and try to get this in the game. I will not end the stream prematurely before we even see this in the game itself. It's always really cool to like show people, like, here's the sprite I made. Now here it is in the engine doing things. You know, that's always really cool. At least I think so. But I will probably end the stream at like 5:30 or so. There was like a slight delay with me getting on because of some technical issues. Just casually updated OBS today, like, oh well, we'll update it. Like, my streams go better when OBS is up to date anyway. That's what we'll do. Then it broke everything, and it's like, I should have tried labbing this earlier in the day, so I just had to revert back to a portable build of OBS, which thankfully those exist, so I'm just going to be leaning on those for a while. Oh yes, he'll definitely be staring at you. Then, oh yeah, and I want more contrast around the eye too. That was always fun. Ooh, yes. This ought to look pretty dark against the rest of the background. Let's go ahead and import this into the game. Look at that difference of what we've been doing for the past hour or so. Now, it's that should be a lot better than just using a color slider to get a particular. Oh, it looks really dark against a transparent background. Wow. Yeah, okay, we might put winner here. So, yep, glowing beard. That was the idea. Give him like some underlights. Now we can have a version of the sprite right here. And this will be drawn at the normal attach point for the body, while the rest of the dragon is like a dark, like off black color. Then, wait a minute, that's probably in the wrong, no, it's in the right section. I just was reading the wrong function. Okay, so now we have the code for the start of the phase and the sprites. Now I need to make it work. So let's look at the step event. We can see that the rising phase initially starts with the alpha going like completely black for the background. So like the cave background will just go completely black for the entire boss fight. You know, kind of like the Pangu fight. That way you're focused like purely on the dragon and don't have like any like details like making it more difficult to see the entirety of the thing. And in some ways having an all black background like kind of makes the scale of the creature even more obvious. Oh, and hello. Oh. Now that name looks familiar, but you're a first timer here. Hello there. Now let's, since you're new, we'll just go ahead and bring up what we've spent the past hour or so doing. I wanted to make a darker version of the normal sprite for the dragon's like introduction. There we go. Oh, so you're like, so you got this stream in the background while you're game tubing. Oh, and thank you. You haven't seen the whole dragon yet, have you? Yes, and you could thank 23 Leaf for that dragon sprite in particular. Like, the only thing I did to the boss was like, I realized it was too small, so I upscaled the sprites and cleaned them up at that scale. And then Leaf just took the upscale and added more fun details to the sprite. So yeah, it's a nice big Freedom Planet sized boss now. All thanks to him. Like, that's like the extent of my contribution, is just adding some extra stuff where I felt like the boss would need it. And of course I brought it to life with code. So, and also like bought some stock dragon sounds from Pond 5. Pond 5's been pretty nice for all the various sound effects I've needed in the game. Let's see how back alpha. Okay, so yes, alpha is increasing when it first appears. Then once the player is within range of the boss, then we want it to rise up and do stuff. So we'll just have it look for the player's XY position. .px. And we're probably not concerned with the player's Y position during the scan, because it's like, the boss wouldn't even spawn into the arena until they're within range of the camera anyway, so. Alright. So X, 8, just a wide range, so there's no phasing issues. And if we're within that range, then we need to have yeah, so okay, if we're within that range, oh, that's right, we don't have the lens flare effect that I was thinking of. Let's fix that. Kind of need some colors from its eye for that purpose. So we'll just go ahead and make the lens flare effect with GIMP. So let's do this on a separate layer. So as you can tell from earlier, I was working with pumpkins. Okay, so just have this, no wait, now don't fade it out, you need to do things with it. So have this, how do I make this look good? It's always the question for me. Just what could I do? Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you on stream, Leaf. Aww. So yeah, why don't I look up like a lens flare effect real quick? Ooh. Hey, do we want it to look like this, y'all? Ooh, ooh, this one looks evil. Oh my god, yes, we're gonna use this one as a reference. Ooh, yes. Oh. Oh, that means like suffering advertisements, I assume. Yeah, I hate ads on Twitch as well. Just seems to go counter to the experience of live events. Oh yeah, that's right. I could do that as well. Just look up a pixel art lens flare. That way I'm not like spending time reinventing the wheel here. Oh, that's some clever banding effects right there. And that's just a regular effect. That's a very appropriate reaction to advertisements. Lens flare more. Let's see. Well, I'm only seeing this one, but I really love the banding effects here. That's very clever. Not what we need, but like I respect that artistically. That's pretty nice. So what we're going to need here is, yes, just have like a radial effect here. We don't need to make it super fancy, honestly, just because, you only see the effect for a short time. $17. Almost. Oh, 16, that's why I couldn't get it right. There we go. And copy. Paste this here. Oh, random streams. Well, at least Twitch has like policies against like particular kinds of content, I would say. Like there's some really crazy stuff we would be exposed to if not for Twitch's policies, really. And among many things, I do appreciate, they clamp down on a lot of the worst things early on. Probably wouldn't even be kosher to bring them up, but it's like ancient history and like in Twitch's history now. Oh, whoops. So, okay, we don't want the don't want these to be thick. We want the horizontal line to be thick, so. Then oh, that's right, we could have a little anti-aliasing there. We do a little banding here. Oh, keep forgetting I haven't saved this particular file. Probably should. So, oh, not very symmetrical, are we? That'll fix it. Then we need this effect. Be like that. Oh. There's the time. Then like some white as well in the mix. Mm-hmm. Now we can copy these lines, put them on the bottom. Oh, now we need to worry about how this looks. So we'll start with a fairly saturated color. I don't know how Genesis I can make this look, but I can try. Do I even want to know what Twitch's competitor is? Do I even? Then have like white concentrated in the center. Oh, Kick. Oh, I haven't heard of that one in a while. I have seen things on Kick that I wish I never had. We'll just kick that one to the curb where it belongs. Oh Lord, Arco. Yes, I'm down. Down for maintenance. That happens where I work too. Like, you know, there's a lot of hospitals that use like the Epic healthcare system. Like, no, and it's not attached to Epic Games in any way whatsoever. It's just a software suite of communication tools that streamlines pretty much the entire job. It makes things so much better than in prior years where a lot of stuff is just done on hand and with a variety of incongruent programs all trying chaotically to communicate with each other. Just it's a very unified system for the logistics of running a hospital, basically. And whenever that's down for maintenance, everyone feels that it's like, oh, we're just going right back to the 1970s with how we used to do things then. Oh Lord. And I have to see when it goes down to do with that because, like, you know, I work night shift and they just decided like the night is when they're going to do maintenance like that, which is kind of fair because, you know, they're less busy during the night. But one of the taxes of being a night shift person. Oh well. Well, it's not too bad for me at least. I'm just like, you know, a housekeeper. I'm not like, you know, a shift lead or a manager or like any of the doctors or nurses that have to use like software to deal with their job as much as they do. Like if I was a nurse, I would like absolutely just strongly dislike that system being down. For me, it's just like, well, now I have to log all the rooms I'm doing on paper, what time I enter them, what time I leave. But the room was like this level of filth, you know, etc., etc. Just that's my inconvenience. That ain't nothing compared to what they got to deal with. Ooh, I think we're getting somewhere already. like the way I would use this would be with additive blending. Let's just go ahead and apply that effect right now. That's got the addition effect now on now. Just which means, yeah, we're gonna need like more pixels for this. Just turn off addition for now. And maybe some anti-aliasing, I'm not sure. Ooh, we could give it like a strobing effect here. Oh yeah, like blur is pretty effective for effects like this normally with like digital art, but with pixels it's like it's the concept of blurring in pixels is like more manual, because like you have to like make motion lines and stuff. You know, you can't just tell an algorithm to make pixels all mushy. It doesn't look good. So, like, some little ways I could make this fancier is like the implications that the light is a waveform. No, I don't like that. Yeah, I'm going to just use this color as anti-aliasing for the light. That way it's like aesthetically consistent with how like Freedom Planet shines look like, you know, when the gems sparkle and whatnot. Oh, I didn't know Aces Sprite had a blur tool. I was none the wiser to that. That's interesting. Addition. Okay, we'll just see how this looks in game. It probably won't be too bad because, like, you know, again, it's like an effect you'll see for maybe 2 seconds, and then the thing rises up. You know, just. Oh yeah, the Mega Drive aesthetic is pretty legit, I would say. I like both the way like pixel art was done on the Super Nintendo as well as the Genesis. Like each like involved very different techniques depending on the exact limitations of the hardware presented to them. One thing I've noticed about any sprites that need to be scaled and rotated, like the sprites tend to look better when they're not like an even sized texture for some reason. So we can just make this white on top. That purpose in mind. Or better yet, we could just have it rotate on an uneven axis and assume that yeah, the 60-44 would be the rotation point. So we'll just add a color for transparency. Go to Game Maker. Guardian lens layer. This boss needed a lot of sprites, I would say. I'm gonna have to rebuild the enemy texture page again. Yeah, should be exactly centered now. And that should rotate very smoothly. Should. Because the texture size is uneven. So like the XY axis can like perfectly center itself on the sprite instead of like 1 pixel off from center. How many bosses I'll have left to make? Like after this one, 5 or even less than that, because we already have the boss for stage 5. It's been done for years, the Star Marine. Like, so, and we possibly have like 9 to 10 planned stages, so not that many bosses left to do, surprisingly. Like I said, we're halfway finished here. Well, almost. After I finish like stage 4 and all of its attached cutscenes, we will basically be halfway through the game now. And yes, it is pretty interesting what links they went to make a lot of special effects work on the Sega Genesis despite the stock hardware's limitations. Like, wow, they really like, they did a lot of clever skewing techniques in particular to achieve like certain rotation effects. Yeah, it's like I think it's called Laiu Lagoon now, but we may like change the background like to something else and just leave the lagoon as like a thing that people can use for stages. I'm not really sure yet. We'll see if we can make Yang Cruise work. We shall see. So, oh yes, we'll also want this new sprite to appear at exactly or near similar coordinates to the head. So how many pixels from the center would we need to go here? So the sprite is 184 wide, so .92 would be the center point. Which means we'll want the flare effect to appear 16 pixels to the left of the eye. We'll just try that for now. We'll figure out the y coordinates a little bit. So 16 pixels. Then the center point for the sprite should be, why am I bringing up the dictionary? I need a calculator. So so 48 times, or divided by 2. So 74 would be the center point. That's pretty low. How many pixels would we need to raise up? Probably 23. We'll see if that's accurate. Guardian lens flare. Oh yeah, that's right. It's gonna need its own thing in a second. So then rising phase. This one. And so back alpha doesn't become a disaster. Then, okay, so we have sprite for the background disappearing. Then this will not be unique to the rising phase event. It'll just be a thing. So head here, rising phase, the fog could be set to the off color for all the sprites. And we've got the head here. So, oh, and hello, Sebastian. Yes, I already sent you an email correspondence about this exact thing earlier through Proton Mail, so you may want to have a look at that. And my throat cannot survive like discussing all of that, the contents of that here. It's not very often I get that wordy anyway, really, because like in a normal conversation, that's just what we call podcasting. You're just rambling a whole lot and people are listening, but not really bouncing off of that. And that's not really a conversation to me. So, yeah, just so when I am that wordy, it's like when I have to like list off all the reasons why I'm taking a particular direction. I just like to cover my bases when not making a discussion. Then, now let's write the dragon boss. So, once we touch the rising phase, we'll let the lens flare effect play. So, that has Dusky written all over it, I will say. And probably has its origins in a meme somewhere. Like, Dusky is like the shit poster. Like, just don't like using that word on stream very much, but it is like the language for this sort of thing, just that people use. Lens flare angle. Legalized shit poster. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, I'll say. Rotate angle. Select alpha. Then set blend mode. Addition. Normal. Then if lens flare, if phase greater than, go to 1. We'll do this and have the lens flare angle also changing here, because like, yeah, it is expensive to do logic in the draw event, but it's also the most accurate place to do like positioning code, because like you're having the position and angle of things like determined literally just a subframe or a line before the result is being drawn on screen. Like, that's how you do pixel perfect platforming in a lot of cases. Pixel perfect platforming for moving platforms, rather. Yes, there are some unfortunate combinations for that as well, I'm sure. That's unique. So, yes, lens flare angle, adjust like this. Instead of having the rising phase being like a timer, we can just be like, okay, if the lens flare angle is like, no, it needs to be slow, like it's greater than, say 30, like 30 frames have passed. After that happens, then we like turn the rising phase off. And oh, and then how am I going to how am I going to fade out the fog and the sprites? That's a good question. I was watching a stream on Twitch too intensive still. Like, one of the reasons I didn't used to watch Twitch on my older desktop is like it would struggle to keep up with it. So I'd have to like watch streams like 360p to keep it from dying. Twitch is infamously known as the laptop cooker, so, which is not a comparison you want for your site, I think. Wait, that's right, I'm not an affiliate, so people don't get streaming resolution options for me yet. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, even better drivers on Linux can't save you from that now, just unfortunately. So, in case, yes, let's get this sorted out. I'll just, for now, worry about like how the movement of this phase is working. Then I can figure out how everything else works. So, as fog, and then like at the very end, like the fog should be disabled, so the next frame, so that should be okay. Then we turn the rising phase off, and that will let the normal startup timer do its thing, and we can go from there. Oh, you can change it to 360p. Oh. I wonder if Twitch have like changed their policies on a lot of stuff then, because like I remember in the past that like you just couldn't do that. Like you had to be an affiliate to give people your potato-friendly options. So that's interesting. Yeah, like I tend to keep the fonts on anything I work on pretty small so that I can see more text on the screen. But if I had like, those big 4K monitors, I'd probably have the text being a little bigger. But also one of the reasons I don't have one of those like huge monitors is like more of my eyes would be exposed to artificial light. So it's like, okay, I could either have this much light being shined on my face, or I could have my entire field of vision being filled with light and my eyes are just burning like crazy all night. So I'm not getting a 4K monitor. I'll probably just get another monitor at some point if I could find a way to use it that doesn't distract me. So let's have a look at this bot. Ooh. But it executed. Ooh. I don't know why that is. Interesting, it didn't even do the lens layer. It just went straight to Okay, yeah, I think the alpha effect like moved too fast. Yeah, we'll teach it. We'll, we'll tame this dragon. Roar. So, what can I do here to make it like show all this other stuff? Hmm. Oh, Okay, so rising phase equals 1. Oh, I feel so dumb. Like, yeah, of course it was already. Yes, so literally 16 frames after the game starts up, it was already executing into this phase. So, that's no good. What about 45 seconds for the lens flare effect? Then, like after the alpha background completely fades, then we can worry about that. And then, yeah, after the background alpha fills up, then the lens flare effect can execute. Maybe. So, 1. Just imagining sheer pixel density of a 4K screen on a 4K. Oh my god. Yeah, that would be insane, Argo. It would probably be the sharpest screen on Earth, but also, like, how do you make the pixels that small? Like, I think you would probably need a microscope to see some of the details on the screen if I could somehow make that work. Yes, we just made microscopic LEDs. Yeah, just there's probably somebody in the lab trying to do that right now. Just making an LED the size of a grain of sand or smaller. I think 4K laptops do exist, but they're probably on the bigger end of things. Because you do see like smaller 4K displays, but not too often because it's like when the screen is that small, like you would literally have to be like right up on it to even see those little details. So what's the point? That's why a lot of 4K screens are so big, so that even from the couch, you can actually tell the difference between a 4K resolution video and a 1080p one. Like that's why they're so big. So you don't have to sit like 5 inches in front of the TV to notice all the little details that 4K allows for. The resolution isn't a scam. It's just like it's a lot more difficult to observe the difference between it and 1080p for the average person. So a lot of people, it is like, what is the difference? So they're just not buying it. I think the reason 4K is only becoming more prevalent now is because like all modern TVs now are just 4K by standard, even if they're small. Like a 30-inch TV can be 4K. So yeah, they're going to do that now. I don't think that will change like the fact that a lot of content is still not going to be 4K for a long time. It's very difficult to get video games to perform at that resolution, especially. And probably more expensive to produce in terms of movies too, because oh yeah, that's right, working on a stage. So okay, if the alpha is greater than that, then we can start scanning for the player's position. And if the rising phase changes, rising phase lens flare changes. Once it's greater than that value, rising phase is turned off. Let's make doubly sure that that's the only instance of it in this code. Like, nope, there's only this one instance, so that's the only version of the variable. We're not in conflict with anything, at least. No. Oh yeah, 1080p laptops do exist, but like they have to have like a smaller pixel density to make up for it, so the difference can literally be harder to see depending on your vision. Oh yes, and that's what my laptop did too. It like increased the scaling of all the fonts, like for all UI by like 150%. And it was easier to look at it, but it also meant I had less screen real estate for viewing things like code. So it's just like, oh yeah, no, we're going to turn that back down to 100%. I'll just deal with the fact that I can't like lean way back while using my laptop. Just gotta sit next to it. It's all right with me. Okay. Of course, I made a code typo. If this was Godot, like it would just like ask you to like remove that S and get right back to executing. So. So let's have a look here. This is my little comfort animal at work here. Little Tiramisu. Take her with me every time, and everyone always points her out like, oh my god, is that Glaceon or a Pokemon? They don't always know what she is. Oh, you rascal. Yes, this thing is loud, by the way. Oh, that's right. I think the exact X position for the thing is a lot further out than it appears. So let's fix that. So. Then if it hits this value, then the browsing phase starts. And we see this effect. And I wonder if there's any extra code that's executing at the bottom. Well, nothing that matters to our purposes. There is some editor-related code at the bottom that... Oh, he looks like an angry baby to you when he's slamming the ground. That's funny. I guess the fact that he's got a big ol' head with no hair on it just makes him look like a giant baby. Or an angry bald man, depending on your point of comparison. Oh, nope. Oh, well, one clue. That's the behavior specific to Final Fantasy earlier. Oh yeah, and don't mind that. That's a runaway NPC. Who's showing off the boss to anybody who hasn't seen it? And yes, the black screen effect is working perfectly in relation to the camera scan effect. Oh, I hit him so hard that he didn't finish rotating down. Going back down to the ground. So that's the boss. Now let's get this thing behave. And oh, good, my temps are a lot better than I was expecting. It's good. But my boss is not looking so good. He's not wanting to behave. Okay, so where are our problems starting here? Because, like, it is doing the things it should be doing. The most part, it's just like there has to be an oversight somewhere. So... so, yeah, background alpha, changing the way we want it to. Probably still too fast, though. Let's just make it iterate slower, but it'll come. Then once it iterates all the way to 1, it stops. Then if the player's XY position is like within a certain range, oh, that's so stupid. I'm telling it to, yeah, like, oh, my numbers were not correct. I was getting all my states mixed up. Okay, so I was immediately iterating through that. Okay, that's no good. All right. Now there are times where I just practice the ocarina while I'm waiting for these tests to compile, because even with the new laptop, like, a half-finished game is like quite an effort for this thing to compile. All right. Now let's give this a test. Ooh. Okay, it's kind of doing the... Okay, now what's wrong? Oh, one thing I already know, like, I need to disable, like, the... Okay. Like, one problem is, like, all this, the head here, like, needs to be drawing, like, above everything else. So we'll just put it at the bottom. If rising phase 0. Well, I mean, we did keep beating it up, Lee. You should have seen all the horrible things I did to it in testing. Okay, rising phase. So this head will draw above everything else. So that'll work. But it's not iterating through the rest of the phase. Nor is the fog for the sprites being set. Like that just, I don't understand why. Yeah, we don't need brackets for this. Get rid of that bracket pollution. And in Godot, you don't have brackets anyway if you're using GDScript. That would be an enormous adjustment for me. Rising phase 0. So, what? Seem to have chipped a nail. That's annoying. Okay, so yeah, this should be drawing above everything now. So what else is happening? Oh, it would help if I did that now, wouldn't it? Because the rising phase starts at 1. You know, why did I even make it work that way? So good. Oh, wait, no, there is a reason for it. Okay, we're starting at 1. Need it to go to 2. I was basically telling it, if you are 2, go to 2. but then it never happens. Oh my lord. And then after, the lens flare angles for a certain amount of time, the rising phase is disabled and the normal dragon dragon behavior is supposed to present itself. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that's a nice slow fade. Where's the dragon? Oh, I mean, hey, it's using the lit version like it's supposed to, but it's now I guess it is actually waiting for me to get within range. Oh, there it goes. There it went. Okay, now we've got the behavior we want. So now we need to make it like drop off. That's going to be interesting. So, ooh, better idea. Instead of like the fog, like before, we could have an additive blending effect or something for the entire body. Yeah, I think I'll like have the lens flare like rotate for a whole 90 degrees or something first. Oh, it's okay, Kuyo. You don't have to worry about being late. I'll probably end the stream around 6 so that, we can like continue this on Discord and then you could like be part of the conversation. Just want people to like actually see the results on the screen before I end the stream at least. And I was hoping I could also like show myself implementing like Kubo's latest contributions to the translation project, but that'll have to be on Discord as well. Like, the beautiful thing about GitHub, you can see exactly the things that are changing in every file and which files. Just that is so nice. So with any additions to the localization work now, it's very easy to implement exactly those changes and merge them into the game. That will be nice. Now let's okay, instead of fog, how about we just use a blend mode for this? Like multiply might be a fun thing, so look for different BM modes. Okay, what does max do? Similar to additive, normal, subtract. Ooh, okay, subtract might be the effect we want here, so let's go to draw, set, blend mode. Then at the very end, like have like BM normal being set so that okay, now like the entire body should be doing that at least. And yeah, the lens flare should only appear in Rising Phase 2. I think it appearing like before it even has a chance to like start rotating is really weird. just imagine, the sun decides like, oh, I'm going to show you this exact lens flare at this exact angle even while you're moving. And then when you look away, it decides to rotate, and then you look back, it's like, behaving like normal. There's probably a British comedy out there somewhere that did that. Just maybe had the British V symbol appearing as a the backwards V appearing as a lens flare effect somehow. Ooh, here it goes. So now we have this. Now the dragon's body is still drawing, but let's see what effects are being applied to it. Not much. No, it doesn't look like the body is being subtracted at all. It should be looking very ghostly right now. At least the head looks right. Ooh. Okay. Okay, it's starting to behave like I want it to. Yeah, there's the dragon. There's the lens flare. It appears. And for whatever reason... So, now I need a sound effect to play when that lens flare happens. That way it's like, ooh, this is real spooky or something. Be really neat. So, go to Machine Architect, then we'll go to source. Okay, I'm looking for, yeah, the ripped assets folder. No, sort. Yeah, we're looking for a very particular sound effect. WebP. It would be really weird if Twitch could integrate files. Oh, yeah, you can do file hot linking. I guess that's why it did that. So, okay, Audacity, where are you? Yes, I still use it. Then, okay, so where is that crystal sound effect that I love so much? Okay, we're getting close. Like, yeah, one of those effects is very similar to this. Shining light. Nope, not that one. Close, not quite. So, dragon charging. Not quite that one either. And we also have this too. Dragon beam, flapping. I forget when this sound effect appears in the game. It's probably a cutscene thing, I'm sure. Oh yeah, like when Dale is giving his big speech while being indoctrinated. Okay, so may I put it like in the Dreadnought folder? Like I do have a rip of all the sound effects from Freedom Planet 1, but I don't have them organized as properly as I wish I did. No, not that one. So, enemies, it's explosions. And maybe I put this in there, I'm not sure. Nope. I could totally see that being John farting. Yeah, I'm sure that jump scared you. Just sound effects are now playing. Oh no. I really do need to go over and rename all these as well. Orb. Hearing sounds getting futuristic bonk. Yes, I'm making the boss like prepare itself to enter the arena. Like the boss is already fully working. I just needed to give it like a spectacle for introducing itself. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, the lens flare effect should also like have its alpha transition in too, because if it just appears as sprite and disappears, it doesn't look as natural. That's another thing I need to do. Then booster bounce pad. Oh yeah, reading these. So crystal break. Light elevator, switch. None of these. So let's go to the named but not organized folder. Didn't know what category to put half these in. Like, all of Dale's dialogue is just right here.
What is this nonsense?
I ask myself the same every day I look at this code. And then I realize, oh no, it's me. I did it. So, ooh, here we go. Not quite what I was looking for, but it's a cool sound effect. Let's go shot fired. Not quite. Ooh. Potential beta sound. What did I... Oh. I think that's the original pedal collecting sound. I think. I don't remember. Oh, there's all of Serpentine's dialogue. I bet Sea Slurp just woke up. We mentioned the squiggly boy. See. See if I can wake him up.
What the?
Here we go. So yeah, let's keep looking. Static shot switch.
Wah.
Yeah, I remember that one. I know I have the sound effect I'm looking for. I just don't remember. Why don't I see if I put it here somewhere? Beam charge. Nope, I didn't. I just have Carol screaming. Which I had to like stretch out and distort a bit. Yeah, I really do need to do that one. It's just haven't yet. Oh yeah, I've already went through those. And that's when I was looking for the Perry sound. Just very sad collection of files here. Boy. Let's finish looking through the named sound effects first. Yeah, that's the boy. Firework explosion. Freedom Planet has a lot of explosion sounds, as you can see. It is all about those explosions. That's why I make everything explode in a fan game, not to try to double down on it too hard. It's just funny. Like, why would you not have explosions in a Freedom Planet game? You've got to. No, I've seen it here somewhere. Yeah, that's right. I didn't finish looking through. No, I did look through the named folder. And there's that one. Breathen, Carol, Dreadnought. Yeah, I've looked through all these, so that's right, I have. You can spend hours just looking for the correct sound, even in a well-organized project. Just imagine being at the helm of this game and being like, I have no idea in this vat of 500 sounds what I'm looking for. Let's just move Audacity closer so there's less mouse movement. It takes a lot of sound effects to make a video. Make a video game. Nope, not quite. There's a really good sound effect I really want to borrow for this thing. Like, it's from Pangu Lagoon, I think. And buying like a similar sound effect would set me back $20. So it's much less legally murky to just borrow from FP1 in this case. But obviously, I try to have as many fresh sound effects in the mix as I can because, like, it makes the experience feel like a new game. Like, when you're not borrowing too much from the source material, you just use some of the source material here and there as like a tasteful reference to the original. So it's like, yeah, you remember that, but nobody remembers that sound. Just yeah. Ideally, we will not go through all 400 of these on stream. Nope, none of those are right. Ooh.
I'll get you, Commander!
I can just imagine if all the voice actors performed their lines for like a remake of Freedom Planet 1 like this. That line delivery would have been fantastic with FP2 Serpentine. Oh, whoops. Some door. Oh, the DNA cannon. Everybody remembers that one. You can't not forget it. I think that's like Torque's boosters going off. It's good to have a personal stock of sound effects. It's legally the cleanest source of sound effects you can have. Just, ooh, love that one. Not the one I'm looking for, though. And if y'all think this process is slow and tedious, just watch me like buy sound effects on Pawn 5 for something I'm looking for. It's just like, oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. Just like sifting through hundreds of sounds.
I've had enough of you. Get over here, you.
I have to admit, I do like Serpentine's line delivery better in FP2. Like, I think it's half the reason I like it more. Well, yeah, I could have used this one for the dragon, but I did buy some new sound effects to keep it interesting. Let's see now. Getting closer, I can already feel it. Suddenly, T-Rex. Now, I'm looking for a particular sound effect, like when the Pangu dragon appears. Ambience. Nope. Why is there's 2 copies of that one? I know that's from a particular boss fight, just can't remember which one. Ooh. Like that. That one? No. All of Zhao's favorite sounds. All the things Bilbo Baggins would hate. Not quite. And as you can see, there's a lot of gaps in this folder from where I picked sounds out and renamed them. So we're not going to be digging for long. I forgot that was the thing. This is what looking for the joke looks like on a digital setting. We have to keep digging. We have to find the joke. That's a neat sound. This game has a pretty solid sound identity, I think. Then. This is the unglamorous part of making video games. I've literally spent like 12 to 18 hours just digging through this folder when I was first given it by Basil. Like, they had like the Python ripping tool working perfectly, so they sent me a zip of everything. So I wouldn't have to rely on it. Ooh, oh, I love that one. Sound effects like that in particular like cost you like $30 on SoundPond 5. Oh, I can imagine Argo. Like, yeah, even just the act of picking a sound effect for anything in a game takes a while. And that problem has only gotten more exacerbated by the fact that nowadays we have plenty of options online for legally obtaining like stock libraries, and we're just like spoiled for choice now. It's kind of great, but also like, oh no, like I have to like sit down and really think about the direction for the sound direction for a game. At least, you know, when you're like making mods for games, you can just be like, okay, this sounds like this would belong in TF2, you know, and I pick some sounds based on like how much it would sound right in a Freedom Planet setting as well. But for a whole new game, it's like, oh no. You have to give it a unique sound identity. Which Freedom Planet 1, I think, achieves pretty admirably. Like, that's not easy to do. And that's considering, you know, they had like over 500 sound effects in the game. Love that one. Ooh. Helicopter. See, and we're already almost through the folder. Just look at all these sound effects I didn't choose for the fan game. Oh, this is it. I found it. Oh my god, this is what I've been looking for. Yeah, no, that's what I want the dragon to sound like when its lens flare kicks in. Just, ooh, yes, that's what I want. So, various desktop ripped assets. Let's see, we'll just be like sound guardian player, because that will be our purpose for it. So yes, remember that one. And let's get it into the game. So, enemies, insert sound. Okay, so, where did I put that? Here we go. So, sound dragon player. Compressed in memory. Oh, compressed, not streamed. Okay, so we'll put it in the extended sounds audio group. That's right, I need to make a new audio group at some point or they're all going to start freaking out. GameMaker's audio engine had some interesting limitations before the 2.0 update. So put that here. And I do have some very verbose scripts for the sound mastering for the fan game, but I did want like some granular control over what sound effects get muted and whatnot for some very particular context. So that was my price for this degree of specificity. Just got to register them inside 4 different sound scripts so that the game can manage everything properly. See, not so bad. Just some aggressive copy pasting. And we can already use the sound effect now in respect to the rest of the sound system. So yeah, so we could have that sound effect play here at the start of Rising Phase 2. So audio, play sound, Dragon player. That should do it. Oh yeah, that's right, the lens flare also needs an alpha. That's silly. The 0. So when it first appears, needs to also like bring itself to light. Then once, so then it needs to lower itself again. Lens less than equal to 0. Then the rising phase will end. Oh, that's right, I didn't add the alpha value as a parameter to the... Yeah, that was dumb. I do this all the time. Oh, let's see the chat. Oh yeah, construct is oh yeah, that environment is an oof and a half to me. I'm impressed the original Fatal Crash was somehow made in in that thing. Like, I'm so much happier for everybody that they're on Godot now. Oh, now it's stuck on the rotating phase. Oops. I did it again. So... Oh, he has it bad, Argo. Just real bad. So... Oh, okay, that's right. This can't iterate. Because, yeah, so... Oops. So... yes, it's... Here we go. So, that way it can't override. That should do it. Like, basically the dragon was like trying to prevent the alpha from shrinking because it was adding that value back to it. So I'm not good at explaining math, y'all. I'm just kind of if not for these incredibly mature game development tools, I don't know where I would be in terms of game development. Being good at math is like one of those prerequisites for making your own game engine, in particular. Ooh, okay. A little bit closer to what we want. A little bit. So, about the full 180. How about that? Then, once it's greater than that value, then it needs to oh wait, now it can't change its angle after that stops. Okay, that explains some things. So rising phase equals 3. And then the alpha value should be shrinking. Then if the alpha is back down to 0, then the rising phase should stop. Yeah, like, that's the real pain for Construct 3. It does not have any native compilation. It's all just a headerless or a headless web browser, I think. Like playing a video game, more or less. And, that's very bloated. Potato computers cannot deal with that. So it's very fortunate that Chowdern was able to step in with their runtime for Petal Crash 2. Still not lowering it for some reason. That is so weird. And I have alpha on the correct sprite. So, what can I do about this? I can just fix this problem, then I will end the stream being like, yep, see, that's what it was like just to add one special effect to an enemy, y'all. Yeah, I've seen some games really suffer being developed on Construct. Like, there's this really cute Metroidvania about a witch that I really wanted to play, but most people could not play it above 15 frames per second, so... Yeah, an entire video game that is basically just unplayable, and there's nothing they can do about it. Unless they sold well enough to justify, like, Chowdern services, but that's not cheap, apparently, so that's why Spark 1 still just barely runs. It's like the game didn't, like, it made back its entire Kickstarter budget in like launch week. It's sold impressively well, but apparently the economics of getting the Chowdern runtime contracted is not great unless you did as well as Freedom Planet 1 did. Just it's a shame. And oh yeah, and Spark was made in Click Team Fusion, to be clear. It was not made in Construct, thank God. I think it would have been much worse. So lens flare greater than this. Angle alpha is. The alpha isn't changing for some reason, and I don't understand why. Don't understand. So, exterior alpha, lensflare alpha. Yep, and it starts at 0, so that's not an issue. Don't understand why the alpha is not showing up. Just want to see the effect again to be sure that the alpha value is even doing anything. Because if it's not even starting up with 0 alpha, that's no good. Oh, I didn't look at the conditions in the code. That was missing one little check on the operator side. Oh yeah, depending on like the framework you're using, like bad frame rates like really destroy a video game's collision system. Even Freedom Planet 2 has this issue, like if you go below 60 frames per second, like certain collisions just don't behave normally. Like people have fallen through the floors, they've seen enemies fall through the floors, and it's like, oh, that's tragic. Just they've since addressed some of those problems, but just oof is all I can say. Ooh, there we go. Okay, now let's see what this looks like in a proper stage. So, sorry for that jump scare as well. Boy, here we go. Okay, how soon are we gonna know that? Okay, here we go. Quite perfect yet, but it's definitely better. Although I think I put the boss and some triggers too far away. Not good. I'm gonna need to move the boss triggers to the boss. This should feel a bit more like the Stakes version, and I've since added like one-way pushers, so. He can snipe you with lasers, so that's cool. At least he'll try to. Yeah, now I need to make the blackness transition too, like while he's dying. So let's go to back alpha. Let's go ahead and close the draw event. Yeah, it's quite satisfying to see how much it's changed, for sure. Step event. We go here to the part where it dies. So yeah, so we'll have the back alpha lowering itself by this much. And if it's greater than 0, then it will just keep setting itself to 0. And yeah, okay, what else before I end the stream and go to Discord? Because yes, like I do spend most of my streams like on our Discord server, or the Shangmu Architect Discord server. I really should have like a link to it directly on Twitch somewhere, but you can look for Shangmu Architect's website and you can find an invite link directly to it. And we have a nice invite background, I think. So if you'd like to join our lovely community and see what we're up to, and also directly chat with me during the Discord stream, you can do that. It's a direct benefit of like the patron support I get. It's like, you know, I stream for people, but I just kind of make it open access to the community, and just with the rationale that you know, the Patreon support is allowing me to have this direct game development stream for everyone, pretty much. So the Patreon people are paying for everyone to have this benefit. Obviously, that's not economical for everyone on Patreon, but it's just a little thing I do. See, especially now that, I've, moved, I've got access to fiber internet, and got a good computer now. So, yeah, of course, I have no reason not to do these kind of streams. So, let's have a look. Oh yeah, I should put the Discord surge on there as well. There we go. There we go. Watch Lilac use the heck out of this thing. That's why I have the upwards movement attack, have it jumping so that Lilac can't target his camp on everything. Yep, and the background fade backwards is dying. Yeah. Oh yeah, he does have a roar, it's just really hard to hear because the music is so loud. So what I might need to do is like have here's what I could do. Like, just have like 2 copies of the sound effect being played so that without changing the sound mastering, it could be heard. And this is the point in the boss where you would want to hear it roar. So, yeah, he does go down fast, but that's Lilac for you. Mila struggles with him a lot more. I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do I make him harder for Lilac without being, like, anti-player? Anti-player mechanics are, like, extremely mean. I do not want to do that. So it's just like, okay, do I make Lilac harder at the expense of making him impossible for casual Carol and Mila players? Or do I find some other insidious way to punish Lilac fans? But you don't want to punish people for playing Lilac either. You're just kind of stuck with the fact that Lilac is just too good. So how do you make bosses behave? Like, just how do you make it more challenging without having to change its behavior based on the player character? So also, that's a funny comparison. It's just like Pokemon. Dragon is super effective against Dragon. So yeah, that's why the upwards jumping is a thing. But I guess like it needs to jump more often when Lilac is in the room. I just need to like find an indirect way to do it. Oh, could you imagine a robot breeding minigame in Freedom Planet? Wouldn't that be silly? No, I guess that would be fair, but here's another thing you can do. If you defeat its hands first, it would go into its second phase even while not having its health halfway down. Hey, now it's really bad. Also, I accidentally started the boss music twice over, so I need to fix that. The game basically became unlistenable. I need to fix how the boss triggers work, because, like, you kind of have to put multiples in the room to be sure you've got coverage, but you also don't want them to, like, play twice over either. That's a big issue. Yeah, basically start throwing fire on him. Like, I can't make him do that all the time because then he's not safe for Carol or Mila. I think what I could do is, like, the more often like Lilac is staying above the arena, like, the more often he's gonna jump. Maybe that would be it. It's really hard to find a balance though, because there's a certain point where he's just jumping in the air constantly. Just like, that's not ideal either. Oh, the audio, you say? Yeah, I think it's just like the boss music in particular being loud. As you could hear earlier, the game audio wasn't that loud. Specifically, Bob's music it goes so hard that people are not going to complain about that. It's just an issue when you're live streaming. Yes, he does go straight into aggro mode. Okay. Okay, and with that, I guess we can conclude the stream. Like, still got some bugs to fix, but we got that whole transition working. Like, he's doing the thing. And still got to see a mixed stream, like with code, picking sounds, doing some sprite work. Yeah, so that feels good. Oh yes, his music goes pretty hard. And I do want to steal him for the next project, probably under the restriction of like trying to make it like traditional game music, where you don't just have like 30 instruments blaring all at once and going too hard with like reverb, you know, and things like that. Like game audio, or game music rather, like it's more often like, you know, you got really strong instrumentation, like the lead instrument is carrying a lot of work, you know, it's giving you a nice recognizable tune you can hum while also being supported by like 4 or 8 instruments like changing up throughout the song, and you got a B or even a C section with a different melody or a complementary backing, you know, just like, so for the next project, if I steal him for that and pay him good money, like those would be the guidelines, because like at least for the fan project, I do want him to just let him go as hard as he wants for certain things. The only thing we told him no to was like, no, this late game theme sounds too metal. Like, I don't think FP fans are gonna like that very much. Like, FP is more like, you know, butt rock at worst. Like, we cannot go to metal. That's like our one thing. But in every other regard, I've just kind of let him do what he wants. Like, just because I feel like, for the most part, that allows everyone to in the project to contribute with their full passion, and together like that creates a very diverse experience overall, just letting everyone's backgrounds and inspirations just shine through. And ideally, like most original projects need to do the same thing. It's just like you just have like some guiding principles on how to give the game its own identity, even within the constraints of everyone's differing inspirations and beliefs and ideals, backgrounds, etc., etc. Like, so yeah, and I feel like that's like the key to a good multi-person video game project. Like, it's incredible what solo developers can accomplish on their own. Like, even Sabrina, she could do all the music, sound design, art, and code herself if she wants to, but you know, nobody wants to spend like 9 years making the same game, because you know, doing all of that is hard and not very economical. So it's better to bring a bunch of people together to work on something, and they bring with them like all of their inspiration to the table, and all of that collates into an experience that feels more real. I think, you know, it feels like there's life to it, because you know, all the different characters and vistas that people create together is just incredible. It's rich, artistically rich, I think. Oh yeah, like it's very easy to go hard on details. When it comes to art. Let's see. So, yeah, just reading the chat real quick. So yeah, and with that, like I think that should conclude the stream. I think we've been productive this time. Like, wasn't a very long one, but I did accomplish the task within the time constraint I had for it. Oh wait, I ran over half an hour. Sorry, but hopefully it was enjoyable to see a mix of everything, like all the different tabs and that go into, like every task that you have in making a video game is a combination of, okay, I'm going to make some art for this code I'm about to write, pick out some sound effects, or make some new sound effects, etc., etc. Just to hopefully today's stream like presented a varied mix of all the things that involves. Yeah. So with that, thank you for coming, and Tiramitsu says goodbye. I'll see you next time, y'all.